Welcome back to another episode of Listen to Rosie. Now, this one is another life lately episode where I talk about mindset and beliefs. It's kind of where I'm reflecting on my latest solo trip with Poppy in Oregon. So this trip was different. I didn't have anything planned, not even work. I actually took a full week off, which was wild for me. No remote work, no deadlines, just nothing. And, it wasn't as stressful as I thought it would be. I really come to love Oregon. Every time I visit it, it feels peaceful. Sure, it's cold and rainy and windy sometimes, but there's always this quiet serenity to it. The hum of the ocean waves and the scent of the forest and the pine and just that quiet solitude. This trip wasn't absolutely perfect. There were some conflicts, but Poppy and I made the best of it. So thinking back to my first solo trip when I went to California, I was a mess of nerves. Stressed about sticking to my itinerary, making sure I saw everything I wanted to see, managing work while traveling, and taking care of Poppy. I was constantly in motion, physically and mentally. Even when I tried to relax, my mind was never truly settled. And sure, stress could be productive, but not too much of it, Don't get me wrong, I don't regret that trip. It was still a really good one. But this time, things felt completely different. So when I went to Oregon, I originally planned to do this work exchange. But when I arrived to the farmstead, I quickly realized that the setup and just the way things run there wasn't going to work for me. So I was forced to change plans and make new arrangements, which led to the unexpected week of total freedom. So I changed plans and I stayed in Florence, Oregon with no set plans, no bucket list, sights to see, no stores I want to visit, no work to catch up on or to do. It was just me and Poppy and just doing whatever felt right in the moment. And wow, what a shift. At home, I have, a lot of flexibility, but I'm not always truly alone. This trip gave me space to really embrace the solitude. I slept in, I let myself be a little grubby, I ate wherever I wanted, I went on walks with Poppy whenever I felt like it, I sang, I painted, I watched shows, I blasted music, I did karaoke, I wrote on my book, I edited some content, and I just worked on little creative projects. And sometimes I just sat there. Past me would have considered this such a waste of time. How much my perspective has shifted. I think the timing of this trip was, felt particularly significant because the week before the trip, I had my final session with my life coach / therapist. When we first started working together, I asked her to help me become more confident, and over the past 10 months, that journey led to something more than I expected. In that last session, I had this huge realization that I was actually here. I am now confident enough, I mean, I'm not completely healed, but I am more confident than I ever been in my life. I never thought I would get to this place, at least not until I was 50 or 60, but here I am. I am choosing to let myself evolve, to be different, to accept myself without this endless loop of criticism. Looking back to who I was when I started therapy, I remember saying things like, I feel stuck and I think I can't do this and I'm not good enough. And I placed a lot of those negative feelings, a lot of the blame on external circumstances, even on other people, as I worked with her, we dug deeper, and I realized a big part of the truth was that my biggest hurdle was me, which is wild because I always tried to be kind to others and never extended that same kindness to myself. Growing up, I was taught that being selfish was like a bad thing, and that, that's something that I heard that many women feel, that like feeling guilty for putting themselves first. That was just like ingrained into us. And it's heartbreaking. Yet, I feel like the belief system that I grew up with, the conditioning, was one of the biggest things I had to work through in therapy. Okay, so this all ties together, I promise, okay? So I thought that confidence was just knowing yourself and about having a clear sense of what you do and what you don't believe in, But now I realize it's so much deeper. Obviously, most of you who are listening know that I grew up Mormon, and that has shaped a lot of this journey. But that's like a whole other story, but I'll get a little bit into it now. Okay, so I've been reflecting a lot on my beliefs, the ones that I grew up with, the ones that I've held on for so long, and the ones that I'm finally making for my own. I remember realizing something wasn't like adding up to me at the age of 13, like seeing my older siblings step away from the church made me start questioning things, like, and there were so many other things. Like some people would say things and do the opposite. And I don't know, I was just told that life through this faith should feel happy. And I did not feel that way. Instead, I felt small, quiet, and confined. And for a long time, I thought that that was normal. I thought that I knew my path. Everything had been mapped out for me. But as I got older, there were questions that I was afraid to ask, and ones that kept pressuring at me, like, do I really believe this? If I don't, what else is out there for me? If I leave, will I be condemned? How do I tell my parents this? Will I disappoint them? And for years, I ignored those thoughts. I just played the role I was expected to, filtering parts of myself because at the time that worked. And that's what I needed to just feel grounded or feel safe, But then that wouldn't, it just didn't work anymore as I got older. There was a weight of comparison that hit hard. Like I was supposed to be getting married by now. I'm supposed to be having kids, or I'm supposed to be following the path that I was taught to follow. But I didn't want those things, at least not right now. Who knows? That realization led me to another layer of self-doubt. If I don't believe in this, what do I believe in? If I'm stepping away, who am I outside of this religion or even my family? And that was terrifying. I just want to point out, let me be clear. This isn't about pointing fingers or tearing down the faith that I grew up in. Religion can be a beautiful, healing thing to many people, but for me, it no longer fit. And coming to terms with that was messy. Like, I no longer had an idea where my purpose came from anymore. And for so long, I believed that not working towards something meant that I was failing at life. And that belief fueled my perfectionism. That constant need to be doing something and doing it perfectly. I was relentless with myself. And when I think about my younger self, I realize, yes, there were moments when somebody else's words made me feel not good enough. And I was the one who also tore myself apart for it. And when I finally saw that, when I took back the power of how I feel, what I allow myself to believe, I finally felt free. I was able to stop judging myself against standards that weren't even mine anymore. And and it's kind of wild because I'm still around those people who still hold the beliefs I grew up with. And I remember it was so hard to work on myself when I was around them, and it would shake me so much. And I would shrink back to this scared, insecure, a 13-year-old version of myself. But now I, I, I don't need to feel small anymore. And finding clarity in my beliefs made everything lighter. I no longer feel so much pressure to convince others of what I believe in, because that's not who I want to be. And now, when I'm surrounded by people with old expectations, I don't feel that much judgment toward myself or toward them. We're all here living on this planet, and so there's no need to tear each other down over these differences. I don't know. It's hard, but I do just want to say I do feel stronger now. Other people's opinions don't shake me like they used to. I don't immediately spiral into self-doubt when somebody questions my choices. I don't see the world in such a strict black and white terms anymore. And that's okay. I'm allowing myself to be different, and it's okay to not be perfect, and it's okay to just exist. And that's exactly what this solo trip helped me realize. For an entire week, I just allowed myself to just be. No plans, no work, no expectations, just space to exist and not to criticize myself for it. And so I want to carry this feeling with me, to let it guide me as I move toward my dreams, to remind myself that life is happening right now, and to choose joy in whatever form that I need at any given time, whether it's resting, creating, connecting, just being. And more than anything, I want to share that with others. I want to remind who's ever is listening right now that you are enough just the way you are. And that's just a huge thing that I've been learning. And I'm really grateful for this past trip to help me actually believe that more. Yeah. Yeah, so that's just kind of life lately. I'm back home now from Oregon. And I hope to continue this belief in, who knows, it might change here and there, but right now it does make me feel stronger and it does make me feel lighter. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you for listening, and I hope you find moments of joy in your day today, wherever you may be, and take care of yourself. That's all. Bye.